All right, I think we're live. All right, everybody, I'm so excited. First of all, we are streaming all over the platforms, and hopefully we'll put the link in Twitter soon. All right, I think we're live. Very exciting live schedule for you guys about really taking your body, your mind, and everything to the next level. Before I introduce my guest, which on Facebook you can see him, I'm going to bring you in on my Instagram. I guess I'll just say my man's name, which is Shawn Stevenson. Let's go. Let's see. Let me find you. Hey, Chip, can you come do this? Because I can't. Did you join the live, Shawn, on Facebook?
I did. I put the request in on Instagram.
See, Instagram is always changing stuff. All right, there you go. I'm going to turn mine down. Thank you very much. I'm going to turn that down. All right, you're coming in there. Coming in hot as soon as you. All right, cool. You're sideways there. Here, let me. You sideways. Do you want to stay that way?
This is all that tech stuff. I got you. I can flip it.
Right. Yeah, you can turn it. All right, while Shawn sets up his camera on Instagram, I am so excited today, everyone, to bring to you just a wealth of worthful knowledge. You know how there's a lot of people out there that says, you know, this person has a wealth of worthless knowledge. Well, today you're going to get a wealth of worthful knowledge. And it just so happens to be that today or this week, we are, in America at least, we are celebrating Thanksgiving, which everyone knows you're going, well, whether you're doing a Zoom Thanksgiving with your family or whether you're eating with the family or friends that live in your house, whatever the case may be, everybody wants to eat and fellowship and have a great day. And, you know, I'm a big believer in, obviously, you should be able to enjoy your life, enjoy your family, enjoy what you eat. I put a little poll up on one of my posts yesterday, which is, what kind of eater are you going to be? Are you going to be one of those people that eat, like, just go all in? Are you going to have a little portion control? Are you going to stay on your quote unquote nutrition journey throughout this Thanksgiving meal? Now, I'm letting y'all know right now, I ain't turning nothing down. I ain't going to go all in on all the stuff that I probably shouldn't go in, but I am going to go in and have some fun. But without further ado, I want to introduce everyone. If you don't know him, the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Shawn Stevenson. Love him for so many reasons. One reason why I love you, Shawn, is that you are just straight up honest. No matter what the deal is, you are telling your truth. You're speaking from the heart. But what I love more is that where that truth and where that heart comes from is your desire to want people to just be in the healthiest space possible. So before we get into everything about food, I just want to know where that comes from. Where does that desire come from? Is it something personal? Has it grown into something that has just become a passion? Let us know.
Yeah, man. First of all, you know how much I love you, man. I appreciate you so much. I'm grateful to be here to talk with everybody. And people got to know, like, you don't just do stuff regular, you know, you don't do stuff average. You are absolutely exceptional. And I'm pumped for this, man. And even the first question is phenomenal, you know, asking where my honesty comes from, because it's a big virtue for me, for sure. And this definitely is related to how I came up. You know, my mother, literally, she would beg, borrow, steal, lie, sell her blood. You know, she's done so many things just to put food on the table for us, you know, in that environment. So keyword, she lied, you know, she did whatever she had to do. But getting me in on some of those lies as well, and, you know, having me to do certain things to survive, it never felt good to me. You know, I didn't want to be that person. I didn't want to have to make up a story to get the result that I wanted. And also seeing the damage that happened in relationships as a result to lying, you know, seeing her orchestrate these things to lie to people that are close to us, you know, family. It left a psychological imprint. So it created we tend to be just like our parent or the exact opposite in so many things. And so the pendulum really swung the other way. And, you know, I made a commitment very young, like it's just an internal thing that no matter what, I'm going to tell the truth. Tell the truth. It's like in that movie with Will Smith. Tell the truth. You know, I think that was the Brain movie, Concussion. But the thing is, man, it's not always easy, of course. And the truth is sometimes not something that's comfortable or something that people even want to hear. Sometimes we don't even want to hear the truth, but it's not, and it's also not truth in a way that is malicious, because some folks try to cater it in such a way that I'm just telling you, I'm just being honest. I'm just telling you how it is, when they're just trying to, find a way to be vindictive or hurtful. It's not like that. It's grace. It's truth with grace. And so I appreciate you can see that in me, and it really means a lot.
Yeah, I mean, just having experienced you in person, developing a friendship with you and your family, I mean, it just runs deep throughout your entire, the extension of you. A lot of people showed up today because I let them know we're going to be talking about food, but I need to set it up like this. Everybody that's looking on Instagram, YouTube, wherever you're watching from, Facebook, I had the honor of sitting down and being one of the first people to read your new book, Eat Smarter. And like I said, I knew the book was going to be very honest, but even someone who really trusts and believe in your message and your education and the way you educate yourself and the research that you do, I was still mind blown with every page that I read. Now, some people are like, "Oh, we're talking about a book." I'm telling you guys right now, this is beyond a book. If you'll probably see what I wrote about Shawn's book, like I literally, the first day I started reading, I went home, I went to the dinner table, and even as someone who has been a fitness professional for 23 years, I still felt like I went back to school and got a deep dive course in nutrition and started regurgitating this stuff even from the moment I started reading the book.
Mm.
And so first of all, I want to say thank you. But before you get into the deep information about the book, I think I want to know, what was the desire to write such a book when there are so many other nutrition books out there? I'm not going to say any names. I'm only going to be talking about Eat Smarter today, but there's so many other nutrition books out there. Why your book?
Yeah. Oh man, such a good question. And again, you were one of the first 5 people that I gave the book to, and I'm very honored to say, once the book launches, it's part of a national campaign in partnership with Target stores. This doesn't happen with a nutrition book, and it's part of an initiative. It's a wellness initiative to really help to turn the corner in our country with health and wellness in a time when it's really needed. And the reason that I wrote this book, and knowing, of course, there's so many other books that focus on the subject of nutrition, I wanted this book to be a unifier, because today we're experiencing the diet framework paradigm. There's so many different diet frameworks, and my framework's better than your framework, and it's beautiful because these frameworks give people guidelines as to how to live their life and to receive better results. However, it tends to still create a lot of friction, and we're infighting about minutia instead of the big overarching principles that are unfortunately left out of so many of these diet frameworks. And so no matter what diet somebody is subscribing to, they can pick up Eat Smarter and really get the deep connection to the principles that make any sustainable, effective diet work, and the things that can absolutely destroy you and destroy your metabolism. And I've got the data, like, this, like every single page is an aha moment. And it wasn't intentional. It just came out just because it's such a dynamic, beautiful topic. And the biggest reason, and just to answer your question, the biggest reason was that when people think about nutrition and diet in our culture today, diet is usually related to weight. It's usually psychologically connected to weight. That's only one small, very, very small aspect of what diet controls in our lives. And unfortunately, people knowing that and this being a part of the culture, it hasn't helped us very much. We right now are experiencing the sickest society in human history right now, right at this very moment, self-inflicted, with over 200 million people in the United States right now being overweight or obese. And this is the family that I come from. This is the community. This is the environment that I come from, so I know this intimately. But the information has existed, but never like this. I believe a big part of the problem is people have not received enough legs under the belief of how much food matters. So in this book, we're discussing how food doesn't just affect your weight. And we give you the best information in the world on the topic, but how food affects your relationships, how it affects your ability to have empathy and patience, how it affects your proclivity towards violence, how it affects your ability to remember your names and numbers. Like you meet somebody, what is your name again? You know, we know one phone number now, maybe, you know, just food controls all of this in this beautiful dynamic way that we laid out in these pages. And I think that is going to create a revolution in how we associate with food. It's not going to just be, I'm going to eat this so that I can burn fat. I'm going to eat this so that I can be the best version of myself.
One of the most powerful things that I really was able to digest in the book, and even again, as someone who has been in the industry for a very long time, as you learn and grow throughout, your own personal nutrition journey, a lot of times something that happened 6 years ago contradicts something that happens now. And I think what you really did was you took out, I like to call the minutia, and you were like, I'm going to give you the science. I'm going to give you the science. So there are a lot of things now, you know, I love eating donuts on Friday, but my meals, even from reading that book, now when I sit down, I'm literally thinking, how is this going to not only affect the way that I feel, but what kind of calories is my body burning while I'm digesting and, like my grandfather used to say, masticating this food. And I want people to know, you know, that was something that was, your body burns energy when it's digesting the food.
Yeah.
And I don't want to give too much away because I need people to literally digest and like really go into that. But my real question is, because I learned so much and was reminded of so many things about the process of the calorie burn that happens when you're digesting the food. I have one question. How long did it take you to write this book? And how late were you up at night doing research? Because, man, this is not something that, there's a lot of people that write books about, you know, stuff. And they're like, you know, this is good to eat and this is not, and this is why. You did a lot of research on this stuff.
Yeah, man, I love you, dude. Like nobody's asking me about this. You know, nobody's asked me this question. You know, there's two parts to it. Number one, I'm a nutritionist. You know, this is what I've studied for, you know, for 19 years and 10 years in clinical practice. But this was not just the 19 years in this field. And I know people that can see me like, he's not 19 years, he's too young. That's that food. But, you know, real talk, this was my entire lifetime. I truly believe that I was born for this moment. And we get to choose our beliefs, you know, but I believe that. And the alignment of all that's happening in the world and this book coming at this moment, I believe that it was my mission. It was my dharma. This is my path, you know, and the amount that went into it in technical terms, you know, I've read over 500 peer-reviewed studies for this book, which this is not sexy reading. This is not like, you know, but for me, because I'm passionate about the subject and I am very curious and I have the kind of technical side, being a research scientist, being able to read through this stuff. Every day I was feeling the same way that you're going to feel in this book, finding these gems that exist in all of the clinical data that are written academia, you know, style, like academics writing for other academics. And on average, I think people don't realize this, but when we find out something in a randomized double-blind placebo-controlled trial that blank nutrient or blank food can help to reduce your risk of cancer by 50%. When we find these things out, it takes on average from going from clinical trial to being implemented in clinical practice, it takes on average 17 years. That's a damn problem. It doesn't make sense. And it's because there's this big bridge still in the information being conducted, the studies being conducted, and the information getting to the public. And we live at a time where we have instant access. But unfortunately, because we have so much coming at us, we have to be able to have the right eye for it and the right questions. And so I took it really upon myself as a mission for everyone. This wasn't about me, to ask the questions and dig and find the answers that exist and then put it together in a way that makes sense, in a way that's fun, in a way that makes it this process of learning transformational and enjoyable. And really that's what it was, man. It took on paper about 2 years, and over 500 peer-reviewed studies. But I literally, and I'm only sharing this here right now. I don't know if anybody will ever ask me this. I stopped doing everything else in my life. All right. I recorded my show once a week. I hit the studio. Maybe I record 2 episodes. Other than that, research, writing, research, writing. That's all I did. I dedicated myself for about a year and a half, like that, not doing anything else. And then about another half a year of like in between that transition point.
And I also want to say that, people here, you've read peer reviewed studies and it's not sexy reading, but I will say, man, I have never laughed so much and so hard reading a nutrition book. So I just need everybody out there to know this isn't a book where you're going to be like, I have a headache when I'm done reading. You're not going to be like, oh, I'm so exhausted. You're going to be like, yo, did he really just give that analogy talking about food? Like, and I think the thing that's really interesting about that is I think it comes back to the authenticity. Obviously, I've gotten to hang out with Shaun. A lot of you listen to his podcast. You might get his humor. He's not loud and crazy like me, but he got some flavor to him that, a lot of people might not really get if they don't know you, and it comes out in the book. So I want people to know, like, your humor comes out, and it is a fun, really fun read. So I just wanted to co-sign on that. But anyway, my next question is, there's a lot of people here and they're saying, okay, great. You wrote about this. Okay, great. You've done some peer-reviewed studies. What is one thing that you wrote about, or maybe one chapter? What is your favorite chapter in the book where you could give people right now to walk away to be like, between now and the end of the year, we got about 5-6 weeks left or whatever, between now and the end of the year, and everybody trying to get out of 2020. And I'm like, hold up, there's a lot you can do in these next few weeks to continue to enhance your life. Maybe favorite chapter or biggest lesson that people can take and really change their mind and body for real in the next 6 weeks.
Now, that's like picking between your kids.
I know.
Who's your favorite? You know what I mean? But for this particular moment, for this particular aspect of transformation possible in this time frame, but really beyond that, I would have to say, this is towards the beginning of the book. I wanted to address this topic because it's one of the things that's really handicapped people or tied us down or imprisoned us in this diet paradigm. And so many of us have struggled with this, and myself included, but we don't even know where the inception point of all this stuff came from, the inception point of dieting, the inception point of calories, the inception point of all of these things that continue to not play out as successful in the research. Now, that's not to say many of us have experienced success, especially being in this community, but the vast majority of people don't. And there's a reason behind that. It's not because they're not smart. It's not because they're not trying hard. Oftentimes, folks trying to lose weight are trying harder than everybody else. The system itself is flawed. And I wanted to really bring that forward and just to talk about it and open the dialogue. And so I took people back to the beginning. And this is one of the things I just do all the time. I just wonder, like, where did this come from? Like, where did this idea come from? Where did the calorie come from? Where did this come up? And when the calorie was invented, well, first of all, it wasn't necessarily invented. It's kind of discovered as a unit of measurement, but nobody was looking for anything to do with nutrition when it was relatively invented. This was used in physics and engineering. When you look at the ancient Egyptian pyramids and you see the hieroglyphics, there's nothing on there about a damn calorie. When you look at, Socrates or whatever, he's not talking about calories. None of that nobody was looking for calories when it was discovered. So I just want to preface by saying that. But when it made the transition into nutrition, this was the first person to do that was Wilbur Atwater, which he's a little bit of a side note here, but who really impressed it upon culture and made the shift from thinking about food in terms of this multifaceted dynamic thing that it has these insane amount of aspects that it impacts your body, from hormone impacts to your neurotransmitters, to your microbiome, all these things. It took food from being food, and now we look at food in terms of numbers. And that was a woman named Dr. Lulu Hunt Peters. And she's a pioneer. I will give her that absolutely. Now, in her book, and I went back and actually read this old book from like the 1900s, and I could not believe some of the stuff she was saying. And let me make this clear. That book sold over 2 million copies in the 1900s. That's
Wow.
that's like everybody and their mother having a copy today. All right. So it totally changed the culture. And she said within those texts, you will no longer talk about food in terms of food. You will no longer eat a slice of bread. From now on, you will eat 100 calories of bread. You will no longer eat a slice of pie. You will eat 350 calories of pie. And starting to think of food in this very linear thing. And she asserted that any woman her size could eat whatever she wanted as long as it was 1,200 calories a day. But what's not shared within those texts is how much she continued to battle with her weight for her entire life, doing that very thing. And she also, this was when we also got impressed upon the connection between food and morality. Food and morality. She started to tie battles with your weight as being a character defect and making that a popular concept, and tying things like sin and punishment to food. And also, this was a time during World War I, so it was like a lot of rationing of food. And so she also advocated that, for every pang of hunger you feel, you should have double joy, knowing that you're saving the pangs of hunger in a child or another person. This was also the time when we became indoctrinated with the idea that if you're hungry, that's when you're losing weight. Very, very dangerous ideas. Now, to take this a step further, and this is where the real beauty comes in with Eat Smarter. And again, she's a pioneer. And even I want to preface with saying this: a calorie does matter. It's a great unit that we have of measurement of energy in food. All right. It's not, as you're going to talk about, because today I'm going to share these 5 things with you. It's called going down in the DM. It's the DM is the acronym that can tell you how calories actually function in your body. But it's a unit of measurement in food, just like a meter is a unit of measurement of distance. The difference is that unit of measurement of distance, if we measure the rooms that we're in, is going to be the same. The calories that you consume, that measurement of energy, completely ignores the complexity of human digestion and metabolism. So it is not remotely close to a static, consistent figure. And the DM will help you guys to understand that.
Y'all, listen, I was like, who's signing up for the lesson? Because I know I am. I'm here for it. I have so many questions for you. I just want to let everyone know that if you are a member of my Safe Space community, in about 10 minutes, we actually are going to be going into Safe Space, and we have some amazing questions. We have a lot of really personal questions for you, Shaun, and I think these people will be really excited. So if you're on Instagram, you can go to my link and to get into Safe Space. I think it's ShawnTFitness.com/safe space. I don't know the link. I just know the group is amazing. So Shaun, all right. Now, one of the things that we haven't spoken about yet, and it's something that I want to talk to you about, because
we got to talk about what goes down in the DM first. I don't want to leave people hanging.
Let's go down in the DM, and I'll finish with my last question. I thought you wanted to leave us hanging. Okay.
I got to give this to people, especially with what's coming up and the potential folks have.
All
so
right,
the DM,
let's go down to the DMs.
This is what actually determines what calories do in your body. All right. And the acronym is the DM. And I use this acronym very purposefully because your hormones are determining everything about you. Everything about you really is determined by what your hormones are doing. And hormones are like these little chemical messengers that are like sending metabolic DMs to all the cells throughout your body and instructing them on what to do. So this is like in the form of like some text messages, some emails, some DMs. So the DM, it starts with the T, and the T stands for the type of food itself. All right. The type of food itself determines what the calories do in your body, whether they are stored, burned, what kind of effect it has on with calorie consumption and metabolism. And to give you guys an example, and this is one of the studies in Eat Smarter, and this is really mind-blowing. If you get this, it's a game changer. And this was published in the peer-reviewed journal, Food and Nutrition Research. And they want to find out what would happen if people eat a meal that is the exact same amount of calories, exact same amount of proteins, fats, and carbohydrates. But one meal is of processed food and one meal is of whole food. And what they deemed with whole food was, this was what they used. It was whole grain bread and cheddar cheese. That's the whole food version. Now, for the processed food version, it was white bread and cheese product. All right. The cheese product, that's Kraft singles. All right. Kraft can't even legally call itself cheese. There's not enough cheese in the cheese. All right. So we've got a whole food sandwich, processed food sandwich. Test subjects consume either one. And here's what they found. After they compiled all the data and tracked the metabolic impact that each sandwich had on the study participants, they found that folks eating the processed food sandwich had a 50% reduction in calorie burn after eating that damn sandwich. It literally started to create hormonal clogs where their body would not metabolize the food the same way as if they ate the more whole, a little bit closer to nature version of that food. So that's the T. The type of food matters. And this is so often left out of the conversation, you know, and this is just one aspect. Now I'll go a little bit quicker through the other ones. So the T is the type of food. So now you know the processed food that we consume, that is the vast majority of food that we consume today in our culture, creates these hormonal clogs in our bodies and changes the way that calories function when we consume them. So the T. H in this equation, so is going down in the DM, the DM. The H is how the food is prepared affects the calories. And to give you a simple example, if you've got, we'll say, what, Shaun, kale or spinach, which one?
I'm a kale. I'm a kale.
All right. Kale has become like the Kim Kardashian of vegetables, right? It's just like, that's the one that's become the most popular. Now, kale, the raw kale itself, there's a cell wall that it encloses the caloric energy and some of the nutrients as well. And the cell wall has to be broken in order to access that energy. And when the kale becomes more mature, the cell wall becomes more sturdy and you can't get as many calories out of it versus younger kale. Or if you cook the kale, it breaks the cell wall apart. And plus, cooking the kale, also the sheer volume of like 2 bunches of kale becomes like a teeny little baby bowl of kale. Right. So the volume access becomes more. Now, cooking the food has enabled humans to evolve the highly complex brain that we have today, because it enables us to access more caloric density from the foods. But this is not accounted for in calorie labels. This is not accounted for when we're trying to just obsessively manage calories. All right. And this needs to be added. It's not that raw or cooked is good or bad. It's just, hey, we need to pay attention to this too. So that's the H. The E is energy exchange. And this was what Shaun was talking about earlier. It costs calories to digest calories. It costs your body calories just to consume the calories you're eating, from producing the saliva, when your mouth is watering, chewing the food, swallowing the food getting churned by your stomach, moving throughout your gastrointestinal tract, your small intestine, pulling the nutrients through your intestinal lumen and moving it to your toes and to your eyes and to your growing your beard. Like all of these things are taking caloric energy to use to digest the food. And to make this super simple, we know, and this is something I was taught in my traditional university, as Shaun mentioned, like some of these things are little reminders, but I frame it in a way that's like, all right, I get it. Proteins cost the most energy to digest. All right. About 70 to 80% of the protein, just say you consume 100 grams of protein, it's going to take about 20 to 30% of those calories you just consumed to digest that protein. All right. So you're getting from that 100 calories you consume, you're getting a net caloric intake or gain of about 700 calories of the 100 you consumed. All right. So protein is more expensive for your body to digest calorically. Carbohydrates, about 5 to 10, upwards of 15% of those calories are used to digest the carbohydrates. About 0 to 5% of the fats, that energy is used to digest the fats. All right. So this is not taken into account on that calorie label. And we need to know this. All right. So that's the T, H, E, last two. The D in the DM is digestive efficiency. This brings about the conversation I spread throughout Eat Smarter of something really special, which is your unique metabolism. There will never in the history of humanity be another person with the unique metabolism that you have. There's never been somebody previous in the history of humanity that has a unique metabolism like you have. And even yourself next week does not have the same metabolism that you have right now. Everything is constantly in flux and evolving. And the digestive efficiency is not considered in these calorie conversations because the gastrointestinal tract itself, your ability to produce stomach acid, your enzyme production, the length of your gastrointestinal tract. Some people might have that long tract. They might have that long tract. And so they're inherently going to be absorbing. There's more time that is passing through there, picking up more calories. These are all these small, interesting, dynamic things about us that's not put into the equation. There's not like a panel for everybody on the package. All right. So, and we could have a whole conversation about that, but I'm just going to leave it there for now. Digestive efficiency matters, and how many calories we absorb and how much we're burning. And finally, the M and the DM, all right, goes down in the DM. And this is one of the most game-changing ideas that everybody across the country now is going to have access to this information. And the M is your microbiome makeup. Yes. Your microbiome is the first line determining whether or not you are going to absorb the calories that you consume and what your body's going to do with those calories. Nobody is talking about this. Number one, the journal Cell published this really interesting study recently that I cited in the book. They found that there's a certain type of bacteria in mice that stop their body from absorbing as many calories from their food. Now you might be like, well, Shawn, well, I'm not a mouse. I'm not a mouse. Guess what? This has been parlayed into human studies now too. And now we know, even if I've never seen you before, I can look at your microbiome cascade and I can know whether or not you are obese or overweight or a normal body weight. All right. Just by the bacteria makeup, because there's a bacteria cascade that is now largely associated with obesity. And so what they did was they took these, what they call these, quote, fat bacteria found in obese test subjects, and then they transplanted that into mice, healthy, lean mice. And very quickly, these mice began to become obese. Their body fat percentage shot up and their insulin sensitivity shot down. They did the same thing with healthy human test subjects and transplanted that into mice, and the mice stayed lean. Last piece here, identical twins. They took identical twins and they looked at their microbiome cascade. And they found that the twin who had the microbiome profile that is associated with obesity, even though they ate the exact same amount of calories, the exact same meals, the twin with the microbiome that's altered towards obesity gained weight and the other one didn't. Identical twins. All right. Your microbiome is determining what your body is doing with the calories that we consume. And so a big part of the book, of course, is helping us to revitalize and help us to heal and create an amazing, dynamic, diverse cascade of bacteria in our guts, because that's really a big part of healing our nation's massive problems right now.
I just got to exhale, man. It's great. So listen, one thing that we didn't touch on, and I don't need to touch on this, but I just think is really important. I don't need you to touch on this. I just think it's really important for people to understand, because I know people out there right now who are doing, a workout in the morning, a workout in the afternoon. They're like really busting their butt to like lose weight, but they don't look into the nutrition in the way that you explain it in the book. And I just want to tell those people, if you like working out and you're like me and you want to work out and I play tennis later, if that's something you enjoy, cool. But don't just work out thinking that's going to make you lose weight. Just working out is not going to be the thing that makes you lose weight. It's everything that we're talking about today. It's working out can make you stronger, lifting heavy. Working out can, obviously increase your recovery time when you're in your fitness. But working out alone is not going to be the lone force that makes you lose weight. And I want people out there to not think that between now and the end of the year, it's like, well, I'm just going to bust out 2 workouts a day, or I'm only going to do the hardest thing. Now, I know I got some hard workouts out there. This nutrition topic is extremely important, and Eat Smarter has all of that information in there. Before we get to telling you where to get Eat Smarter, I want everyone to know that I'm doing a turkey burn on Saturday. So I will be working out on Saturday, but we will still be celebrating eating healthy. And if you want to join my turkey burn workout, just again, go to my link in my bio or go to ShawnTFitness.com/safe space. Shawn, tell them where to get Eat Smarter, and then we're going to move over into the safe space because some of these questions that people got, I think you're going to have a lot of fun answering. So tell people where they can get Eat Smarter.
Definitely. So you can get Eat Smarter right now. Pre-order the book at eatsmarterbook.com. And right now, today, instantly when you pre-order, I hit the studio and I put together a 10 video mini course. This is not some little small little PDF. And these 10 videos, each video has a food that is clinically proven to help support and optimize your fat burning hormones, the hormones most related to the burning of stored body fat. There's no food that's a magic bullet, but these are 10 of the foods that have the most clinical efficacy towards helping your body to kind of reboot and to optimize the performance of our most potent fat burning or fat loss related hormones. And this is also having to do with not just the process of fat burning itself, but also regulating our cravings and appetite and all the hormones related to that. So it's really a wealth of information in of itself, but people get access to that instantly. So definitely go to eatsmarterbook.com and pre-order the book today. It just means a lot for the mission. It means a lot for ourselves and our communities just to get this education, because this doesn't have to be hard. You know, we can create a movement right now, and it's just going to take us to shift our attention a little bit and also to find more joy in this experience. And that's why I love what you do, man. That's why we connect, because you help to create joy in this process that for so many has been a struggle for so long. And, you know, it's such a special time. So yeah, definitely eatsmarterbook.com. And I guess we're going to the safe space next.
I do want to say thank you for that. One of the things that I love to do is create joy, and the dance fitness workout that I have that's coming out in the springtime is all about creating joy. I find that people, like I said before, they get so invested and just working hard, pushing their body to the max, that they forget that working out should be fun and you should be doing something that you absolutely love. Actually, one of my really close friends, I had a really in-depth conversation with him. And I was like, what are you willing to invest in your wellness journey? You know, what are you willing to invest? And one of the things we talked about is, number one, it should be fun, and you should only invest the amount of times where you should only invest what you can be consistent with, because consistency over time means that you can trust that what you're doing, you're going to continue to do. Forget the results that's going to happen. Consistency over time means that you will trust that you will continue to do what you love to do. And so I just think it's so important for everyone out there to add joy, not only to your fitness, but add joy to your eating. It shouldn't be daunting. It is. I know it is. But eatsmarterbook.com will get you there. Before we head off, I just want to let you know, make sure you join my turkey burn workout on Saturday. Just go to the link in my bio, join the safe space. We are going to do a body weighted workout. So you don't need no weights. You don't need all that craziness. You just need to come in, have fun, enjoy. Shawn, thank you so much. Make sure you all go follow Shawn Stevenson, eatsmarterbook.com. You even get, the course that he put together. That's pretty much unprecedented. I don't see that happening a lot either. So you get a lot. You don't just get to sit down and read. You get to hear from the man himself. Shawn, thank you so much. And I'll see you over in the safe space.